Bonjour, bonjour, vous allez regarder une vidéo de Break and Roll et aujourd'hui nous allons vous présenter un nouveau spoiler.
Today we are bringing you a spoiler of someone who's been sitting on the wall this whole time.
Wait, what?
If you've been paying attention to the past two videos,
I haven't been paying attention.
he's been here the whole time.
What?
BLURR.
BLURR.
Awesome.
BLURR.
That was well played, Joe. All right.
Who's been paying attention? Who could actually read that on the wall in the last two videos?
Put that down in the comments.
So again, Wizard of the Coast has been kind enough to give us a number of spoilers to show to you guys.
Thank you.
So BLURR is our next one. Do you want to bring up the image?
For BLURR.
Oh, right. Yeah. Nailed it.
BLURR.
So to set you guys up, so BLURR, he is the fastest bot in the galaxy is his subtitle. In
Meow.
his alt mode, he's a card, he's melee. 3 attack value, 10 health, 2 defense. So down bottom 12 stars is important to note that.
That's a lot.
And even though you guys can't see it on this side, well,
We'll get to that.
yeah, he is an uncommon, which is cool. His rules text says, when this does attack damage to a tapped enemy while there's at least one untapped enemy, then this untaps and attacks an untapped enemy. So I get the sense that for a lot of people, this might be something where you have to read it a couple of times for it to click.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of interesting to note that with Wave 2, we're seeing cards that I think require a little bit more thinking, a little bit more
Planning.
player skill planning to kind of like get them to trigger well.
Yeah.
To kind of continue with car mode, 2 defenses, about average. We see a lot of characters with 2
yeah.
defense, especially within cars, you're right. And then 10 health is a little bit low, especially for a 12-star
12-star, yeah.
Right? Yeah. And then 3 damage, 3 attack value also a little bit low. If we look at other 12-star characters, we have Nemesis Prime, 7 attack, 16 health, 2 defense. We also have...
I guess they wanted to make sure it wasn't that easy to pull his ability off.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And just to compare a little bit more with what else is available, all trucks, coincidentally, you have the Common Optimus at 12, 6 attack value in truck mode, I think 5
health.
attack in robot mode, 15 health, and you also have Inferno at 12. So Inferno, 8 attack value in robot mode, 6 attack value, truck mode, 3 defense in both
And
modes.
11 health.
Right, which is a little bit low too, right? So I think you're right, Joe, in that they wanted to make sure that it limits the number of times you can get this off, or you have to be careful about when you dangle him out there.
Limit the number of times? Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially as a card, because cards, their whole thing is untapping and being able to go again. I think another important thing to note here when talking about this card is something that Drew mentioned, the interview he did with the TFW 2005 podcast, where he mentioned that there's going to be more value as combiners become more prevalent, right? And as we have, even if you're not playing a whole combiner team, you will have more options to get 4-wide or 5-wide teams out there. That the ability to kind of like ping out for multiple damage at one time will also have value out there.
So BLURR is great against the team. Once it combines, BLURR does nothing.
Yes.
Yes. Well, in this mode at least. He'll be a little bit more
Yes.
useful in his other mode.
Let's hope so.
Yes.
Right. So I guess just to talk about it really quick while we're going here, let's also take a look at his robot mode
Right
as
now?
well. Unless there's something different you want to talk about.
Let's
with car
do
mode.
the speculation.
Well,
Save the
we have
Save
to
the
say
bot mode. It's a surprise.
Okay. So, I mean, I just spent a ton of time talking about what he does in car mode, so I think it's only fair. I think Joe is a little bit jealous right now. Don't you want to kind of go into a deeper analysis of his robot mode and what...
Oh, you want to do the robot mode now? All right, we'll go into the robot mode. So,
we're letting Joe take this because there's some... It fits the amount of, brain power that Joe can allocate to
correct.
something.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to flip to bot mode. And then so he's going to... Oh...
Womp, womp, womp. Sorry, Joe. So, in bot mode, his stats, his health, his defense are both the same. His attack value does go up to 6, which is a pretty decent jump right there. Okay. And he's melee in robot mode as well.
And
which
that'll
has,
help for
Go ahead.
That'll help for the fact that his ability does nothing against combiners, or once they're combined on the other side. Now he can do something against the big combiner
Yeah.
to make up for it.
And he doesn't lose defense going into this mode, which a lot of characters with a similar type of, general design here, when they flip into that mode with the higher attack value, you lose defense value. So there's a trade-off you have to make. So with this, there's not. You maintain that steady 2 defense.
Yes.
So one thing about this side, uncommon number 11. He's already at BL. There are 10 characters in front of him in the range of A to B. Wow.
We do know that
Tons of Autobots coming in.
Wasi spoiled Blue Streak already as we film this, so it's not a surprise.
That
Not
was
a
number
secret.
10, correct.
So
Yes.
we know that he's there, so 9 before him. So you're right. Probably a lot of
BLUR,
Autobots out there.
BLUE. 10 cards named Autobot something.
Is that possible that...
Decepticons named A. Astro Train.
Possibly. Possibly. We'll see. So now that we've seen both of his modes here, what we want to maybe throw out there as ideas are ways, teams that we might use him in, or battle cards that we think might synergize well with him. So Joe, you have a number of teams. How about you start us?
I was going to start
first
with a possible card, since I almost blurted it out a couple days ago when we showed Reckless Charge. So I talked about Mirage being able to untap and attack multiple times in one turn before the 3 damage lands on him. BLURR does the same thing. You're pumping out plus 8 damage with the ability to hit his ability at least once, and only taking 3 damage. Very dangerous on the 10 health, but for plus 8, I'll try it.
By the way,
How are you getting the plus 8? Sorry.
You're going to attack twice in the same turn.
Okay.
You better land the attack damage, or else
Yes.
he's not going to untap. Because your turn's not over. You're going to untap and then continue to attack.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And by the way, when you're attacking, and that effect of untapping is going to an attack is going to happen only once.
Yes.
So you have to make it count somehow. It's not going to be against the same characters, because when you attack, you're going to attack tapped characters. If you do damages, you untap and then you go against an untapped enemy.
Right. They want to turn the ability off.
Yeah. So it's turning the ability off. It's not going to be like machine gun something. Yeah, it's just going to happen once. So hit hard with BLURR against 2 characters.
That's another. What is that? Who's the? Is that the second? Oh right. That's the second Bumblebee type SRB thing. You can attack an untapped enemy. Razor Claw.
Yes.
Yes, that's another mechanic for SRB ish.
Yes.
So I guess while we're talking about battle cards that go well, do you want to keep on talking battle cards or move into teams?
We can kill one.
Teams.
See?
Teams.
Well,
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess before we get there, BLURR is obviously a car. So
Yeah.
turbo boosters,
Oh my God,
fantastic.
yeah.
You
So
want to
good.
tap him. You want to
So good.
keep him activating multiple times as much as possible, especially against a 4-wide or 5-wide team.
Right.
Yes.
5 wide teams.
like
Starter engine's also good as
Yeah.
well.
yeah, turbo boosters with, like, let's say it's not going to do well with the bigger Daryl, because he's at 12 stars already. So it's not going to happen well. Anything that can give him pierce is going to guarantee your damages. So let's say you play
Starter B with Matrix or something. Guarantees
Yeah.
Pierce.
yes. So like you go, you attack, reap,
Reap.
untapped, go again against an untapped enemy, right? Play turbo booster on it. Hopefully you get a little bit of damages on BLURR. Play Energon Axe,
Yeah.
go again, and it's just going to be amazing. And also, one card that we have spoiled at the very beginning, Reckless Charge, it's going to be amazing on that card.
Yes, which is also worried about the taking 3 damage and knocks him down to 7 right off the bat if he hasn't already been attacked before. I think BLURR really wants a teammate with Brave. That way, if you attack with him maybe first or second, they have no choice but to go elsewhere, so leave BLURR alone.
Yes.
Kind of like decoy off of him.
Right,
Awesome.
and then building off that idea, so Brave is one new keyword. Another new keyword that they mentioned on that TFW 2005 podcast is the keyword of stealth, which is kind of like the opposite of Brave, where if there's a character out there with stealth, if the opponent can attack another eligible character, they have to attack that other character instead. Yeah. So if there was some way to give BLURR stealth, whether it's an upgrade or whether, as an action you do it for a turn or something like
Utility.
that,
Nice.
you could dangle BLURR out there without worrying about him getting attacked back. Now, obviously, clearly, you don't want BLURR. If you're first player, you don't use him. Right?
Yeah.
So you need your opponent to have something out there tapped already.
I mean, if you think you're not going to die right away, so you might want to go, which is probably going to be the case if you play against the combiners. Like I can not envisage.
Actually, they don't do a whole bunch of damage, so it wouldn't be the worst idea to go first. See if they can't land a damage on him for Energon X, then Turbo Boost, maybe.
Like if I have regular charge, right? I'm going to play on BLURR, attack one of the combiner, untap, attack another one that is untapped, right? And get the 3 damage at the end. Because you're only getting 3 damage only once, so you're using regular charge twice, which is amazing, right?
They might not be able to keep piling damage on fast enough.
Yes, and if you play a car deck, you just ready BLURR again, and here you go. You just
BLURR might be good and sealed. For Wave 2, like Wave 2 sealed.
Since there's going to be a lot of small cost characters out there, and then I think also ISF, I Still Function, will also be good. You can bring him back to kind of... if you lose him early, bring him back to kind of put some damage out there.
Yeah, 2 attacks. So
yeah, I think...
Well, if he comes back with ISF, you better be playing a good weapon on him, or else that 3's not going to do much.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, you guys already mentioned Pierce, so, Axe is good.
Will people play Piercing Blaster on it?
What's the wording on the grenade launcher?
On Grenade Launcher?
Yes. Do you scrap the grenade launcher at the end? Or
After the attack.
After the attack?
Yeah.
Too bad.
Oh my god. Imagine Grenade Launcher and Reckless Charge.
Oh my god.
2 attacks.
Yes. Wow.
Amazing. So here, let's kind of shift over now to talk about some possible teams that we could use him in. Now, again, disclaimer, as of right now, we have maybe 1/4, if that, probably not even that many. Like 1/4 of the characters in Wave 2 have been revealed.
1/4.
We have the 5 Predacons,
6,
right?
7,
we have
8,
Windblade.
9.
Wasi just put out...
Blue Streak.
Yeah, so we have roughly like 1/4 of the characters have been spoiled. So there's going to be a lot of other things out there as well that, I don't know, we don't know about yet. So we're building with what we
Are
have
we expecting to see any 5-cost combiner cars?
If they do Stunicons, yes. If they do... I think I glanced at your card. We tried not to look at each other's work. I just saw a name on there. Protectabots would give you a 5-cost card.
I was hoping for that. You could do something like BLURR, Blue Streak, and if there was, Streetwise.
Yeah. Yep. Who, if you don't know, he's the police car in the Protectabots. So, Joe, how about hit us up? What is one team that you might use BLURR with?
BLURR, Super B, and 3 Lightning Bolts.
Wow. That's out of left field. Okay. So, those of you who are just tuning in now, Lightning Bolt was a card that they spoiled on the official Facebook page. As of when we record this, it was yesterday, which was Friday the...
Something.
11th, right? So we have now battle cards that cost stars. So to put into your deck, it's going to cost you a star. Which I guess if you roll in to like an event and you are showing in this case, 22-star team.
You don't get to see your opponent's deck unless there's deck lists.
Right. So they assume you might have some stuff in there. Interesting. So Lightning Bolt, right, is
Deal
one of
3
these
damage to a
cards.
character?
Yeah. Without any drawback other than...
no pit.
Yeah.
Blank.
And it eats
Really?
up a star as you build a list. Yeah.
Wow, without the cost.
You didn't see that yet?
No, I haven't seen it.
Wow.
What do we pay you for, French?
Wow.
All right,
Wait, it's Lightning Bolt straight up from Magic the Gathering. It's amazing.
That's what people have picked up. Is it's an homage.
I love it. I'm going to pay the hell of it.
We shout out to Ken, who is the lead rules designer at WotC. I believe he did that as an homage to Richard Garfield. He mentioned was a personal hero of his.
Love it.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So Joe, kind of talk a little bit why those two characters.
For the untapping and not the untapping, the ability to attack untapped characters. If I could spam Blur and then spam B and then spam Blur again, who are you hiding from me? Where are you hiding?
Right.
I'm going after you.
Okay.
Tapped or untapped, I don't care. They're all targets.
And B has that high health pool, so to send him out there first to eat up that first attack back, it's not terrible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
You send B, then you send Blur, then you untap B and Blur.
Yeah, and then maybe depending how the game goes, you send Blur out there to get killed, power up B later, right? So maybe you can kind of see what you're facing, how the game's going.
Yeah, it's
right?
going to be good.
Anything else to say about that team, Joe?
That particular team, no.
Okay. So something that I was thinking was 12 stars it's tricky for team building, right? So you want to look at what you have left available. You have 13 stars left. So I wanted to look into maximizing more cars. So I was thinking maybe starter Bumblebee, 6 cost, right? Would give you 7 stars left over. So 7 stars, I was thinking Shrapnel as a possibility. Decepticon, Insecticon, Scrapnel. I want to call them Shrapnel. Here's why. Hear me out. So one is you're not going to focus in this deck here on oranges as like Hot Wheels does. You're not focused on that so much. You're doing more blue. You're kind of like hoping for leap into battle. You're hoping for axes. You're hoping for maybe for the smaller cost characters, bigger they are, things like that. And in this case, you've done some stuff lately with Starter B where you flip into robot mode. He has tough one. He's really annoying, really hard to get rid of, despite the fact that he has low health and all those other things. So he's also a second blocker to keep Blur alive later in the game as well. Shrapnel is your first blocker. B is your second blocker.
Yeah.
On top of that, another trick you now get with this is when you know Shrapnel is going to die, you can flip him back to bug mode, sacrifice himself, which taps down an enemy character, which opens up some possible swings out there that they may not have been expecting at that time. And then I don't want to say there's a second modification of that team I was thinking, but in case one of you guys went with it, I'm not going to say it yet.
You said Starter B?
Starter B, he's 6. But again, in this case, you're kind of using Shrapnel and Starter B as your blockers. You're sending them out, soak up damage as long as possible, keep Blur alive for the late game is the idea. All right, and Frenchie, any thoughts so far, teams?
But the idea of like getting Blur as my late game character is a little bit fishy to me because you only have like 10 health and 2 defenses, so it's not going like I can see actually Optimus Prime one-shot Blur.
Right, and that's why I'm thinking that you have characters out there to block early. I think Blur is going to be an effective combiner killer, basically, because you can start pinging damage out there on those small guys is kind of the idea. Hopefully you have to ping out that damage fast enough before they get into combiner mode when Blur's car mode ability doesn't do anything for you at that point.
Blur is really good against like any type of decks that have a lot of character, low health pool. But I'm not going to see him do well against something like Nemesis Prime, like Double Prime. It's going to be hard for it. I'm stuck at I'm trying to actually have a high cost character 11, 12 with 2 other ones that is going to be sufficient enough to like try to kill Nemesis or Optimus. It's really hard right now. I'm having a little bit of trouble to like go through that ceiling. Blur is like one more character for me that is high cost, less health, and have a really good ability to like kill smaller characters. But as of now, at the end of wave 1, it's hard for me to judge how Blur is going to do. So I'm just going to have my reserve on that.
Joe?
Back to teams.
Yes, sir.
Attempting a Blur Mirage or a Blur Wheeljack Scamper type deal. Maybe with Blur Mirage, you could try some sort of white thing with Piercing Blaster. Guarantee Blur gets damage off. Try to guarantee Mirage keeps on tapping as much as possible. Untap, 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 untap. Maybe.
Yeah, and just kind of spam out attacks as much as possible. Yeah.
Or Blur with Common B, and then was that 12, 9, 21, and then Scamper again, right?
Right.
Or more Lightning Bolts, or other such cards that will have stars that we could be using there.
Yeah, I mean, they said that there's going to be more. So, yeah.
That's interesting. I love it. By the way, what do you think about that? What's the smaller car already? Like
For Scamper.
Scamper's the
Scamper?
smallest one.
Would you rather play Scamper or have actually 3 lightning bolt?
Well, the only problem is you have to get them in the hand.
Right, you have to draw Lightning
Right.
Bolt.
Yeah,
And they're not green, so you can't take them.
and that's too bad. But yeah,
Like
damn.
Wheeljack would help you with draws, or Cliff Jumper would help you with draws as a partner to try to get it into your hand. And I don't know, maybe we have a treasure hunt style card for actions. Maybe.
We'll see.
That might be dangerous.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
But I could see it being made. It would have to be blank pip.
Ooh, or what about a tutor
Weapons
style
get
card?
orange. I'm assuming they would do actions get blue or not at all. Actions they could be devastating.
What
Yes.
about a tutor style card that can pull in a star card?
A tutor style card that can fetch stars.
That's a lot. That's a lot. I mean,
But
you're
it makes-
limiting to play only one action per turn, so it's
Right. I
possibly.
guess that'd be the drawback.
Just to set it up for a future turn.
Yeah, but the one I'm seeing like is going to go crazy with that is actually Optimus. Oh my god, again.
That's
Well, actually,
really
you can just
dangerous.
pull in star
Right.
cards.
Well, if you're playing star cards with Optimus, that's 13 right off the bat. You're assuming you're running 3. That's going to be 16.
It's going to be hard.
16 alone. So he's got 14 or 11 to work with.
To kind of build off of what you were saying.
No, 16, 9 to work with. Come on, people. Oh my God. 9.
To build off what you were saying earlier, the two teams you mentioned, I also had written down Mirage and Wheeljack as a partner with Scamper as your third. Trying what you've been doing lately with thermal weaponry, somehow involved in that.
I think it could work with Blur, but he's got no bold. So you can guarantee the damage. You're only going to ping a little guy for like 2, maybe 3 off thermal weaponry. He'll be a 4. You'll flip 1 to maybe 3 blues. The damage will get off. You'll untap. You'll do it again.
And either use it with Mirage or Wheeljack. Like Mirage would help you against smaller characters. Well, no, because they're
No,
both
Mirage
5
would
attack.
hit.
And
Wheeljack would hit the big guys, and then Blur would work on the little guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, and then since we've already talked about him a few times, Rare Prime is an obvious thing to maybe partner him up with. Rare Prime is 13, Blur is 12. It's tough in that
Assuming he doesn't get bumped to star.
Yeah.
speculation.
I don't
Like
think-
that. We have
Speculation.
that is not a spoiler that we have.
But yeah,
But the idea is if that team kind of, if you had them together, like the reason why, part of why you take Nemesis with Rare Prime is that Nemesis is your blocker. He soaks the damage, keep Rare Prime alive longer. In this case, it would kind of work the opposite
way.
essentially,
Yeah,
maybe.
I wouldn't do that.
Which is, it's dicey, but I don't know, maybe. And then actually, what if you take Rare Prime and a lot of the action cards that ping out for bits of damage? Not bombing run.
Yes, Prime with
Photon
bombing.
bomb?
Run. Absolutely.
Not bombing run.
Photon bomb.
Well, photon
Strafing
bomb.
run.
Strafing run is what I was thinking.
Okay.
Right. It sets. I don't know. It could set up Blur to kill targets when
Yes.
he does his ability. Maybe.
like your photon bomb
Sure.
is going to be easier for Blur to like take out anyone.
A photon bomb is going to hurt Blur in the long run.
Hey, you know what? Photon bomb.
Ooh.
Play.
Energon Axe. Ooh.
Yes. And then just like keep on going with Blur. Oh my god.
Go fast, go fast, go fast.
Do that. Damn. Yeah. Can see that. That's actually a good
Any
idea.
last words on the Blur bot side?
Teams, really quick. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Oh, teams. Yes, Brian, continue.
So, my original team I spoke about, you take Starter B, you take maybe Prowl as your other character. You're down 1 star in this case. You're at 24 stars with Blur.
All right, mister, I look off Joe's notes. I already got that.
Oh, I didn't know that we were taking. I thought we were done with teams. No?
You brought up another team.
Yeah.
I thought that's where we're done. I mean, that seems too obvious. Blur, Starter B, and Prowl. What's
But
that
in
team
this
do?
case, so the idea
What's
is.
that team do?
Prowl lets you, when something dies, heal up. Well, you're hoping that Starter B dies. You throw him out there to die.
He's got the
You should
Pierce.
like this. You
He's
don't like
got the
Bumblebee.
Pierce.
He has Pierce 1.
That will trigger Blur.
I get you.
Well,
Yeah.
guaranteed
Early
to die
on,
first.
yes.
Yes, you don't
Okay.
want him to die first. He's the one that's going to keep BLURR going.
But the idea is, if BLURR is taking some damage, Starter B dying,
Starter B is
Prowl
you flip
in
to
robot mode.
alt mode. All your cards get Pierce 1 for the turn. For the turn. So he goes
Right,
boop boop. You're causing at least 1 damage each.
But you have a third target for starter engines or turbo boosters, so it's another possibility. And then the last team I had, since I think you're done, right?
I can see Piercing Blaster being used on BLURR.
Yeah.
You're definitely landing 3/3.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right,
Blaster is good.
BLURR Mirage something. Do it.
So last team I have is, I'm speculating that we might see some more cheap cards. So right now, if you take BLURR, if you take Scamper, that puts you at 16. It gives you 9 points left.
I'm sure there's going to be 5-cost cars. With
So,
combiners.
well, we would need one more 4-cost car. And if
Wait, who's the other character? What'd you say?
we don't, this is speculation. So
Yeah,
you
who's the
take
middle guy?
you take BLURR, you take Scamper, and then you need a 4-cost car and then a 5-cost car. Now,
You're
Drew,
assuming there's another 4-cost car?
we don't know. Drew mentioned on the podcast, the interview with TFW, they asked him if there are any other 4-star characters, and he didn't. So he started to look up the question, and then I think they got sidetracked by conversation. So there may very well be other 4-star characters.
You open up the
that we
Wave
get.
3 tab by accident. Oh, not that one.
But like the idea is maybe we have a combiner team where the leader is 6 stars, and then the smaller characters are
4.
5-5-4-4.
Yeah.
like
So
just
could
some
be.
variability in there.
Yes,
Maybe,
a combiner
right?
team that doesn't equate to a
20.
divisible number of 5.
But I like BLURR in a 4 wide, right? I like BLURR with 3 characters there to kind of like.
That's wishful thinking. A 4 will have a BLURR?
That's
12?
sort of
My
why
God,
I
man.
calculated the numbers. But yeah, so. And then we mentioned already, you asked about the robot mode.
Yes.
Having 6 attack allows you in that end game when there are no longer any other characters out there to start pushing through more damage.
You better have that Energon Axe on him.
Yeah. 9 damages is no joke.
That would be nice. Yeah.
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 That's BLURR.
BLURR's cool.
Any French closing thoughts?
Patat.
Potato. Is it potato?
Potato. Petite.
Potato.
Potato.
It's not French.
Yes. Break and roll.